Show me your heart. I know that it's beating. Tell me that you love me too. So I know your heart is true. 'Cause I need some proof of love. 'Cause I need some proof of love. 'Cause I need some proof of love. Hey everybody, what's going on? Welcome to a special joint edition of Proof of Love. And what makes it joint-esque is the fact that it's actually going to be released. This show is going to be released on Proof of Love. And then it's also really the launch or one of the early episodes for my friend's show, Dr. Tiff, who you guys have seen on the show at Proof of Love. She has a new show called The Climax. So she wanted me to talk about my climaxes. I'm not really sure what we're going to talk about. And she's going to be talking about, I don't know, I guess more climaxing stuff. So it should be interesting if you all are into that kind of thing. Thanks so much for having me on your show today.
Oh, I'm so glad that we got to talk today. Really, you're an inspiration for me to really step out and do this show. I have been chewing on it and wanting to, and thank you so much for just being that like fire under my ass to be able to step out and do it. My inspiration. So very much appreciated. I love that you brought out the climax, because actually what's funny is I named the show The Climax. But when I was thinking about, when I thought of the name, I got really triggered. And I had to do really a deep dive to figure out why I was getting triggered by this word. And I love that you said, like, we're going to talk about climaxes, because actually that's not what I want the show to be about. Like, I want the show to be about the journey to the climax, because really, if your life is all about climaxes, then that's a pretty boring life. Because you only have those small moments of climax, small moments of the height of things, right? An orgasm only lasts for a few, maybe a few seconds, 30 seconds, or if you're tantric, like our friend Ben, maybe longer. But yeah, so life isn't really just about the climaxes, and it's about the journey and the stories of getting to those. And the climaxes are the motivation to where you want to go. But so that's really why I wanted to have you on here, because I feel like you are just this badass woman who is so creative and has so many passions and so many like sticks in the fire, and your creative spark, like, where does that come from? I wanted to just start out by asking that, like, where does that creative spark come from? Because of all the things that you do. And I would love for you to tell everyone everything that you do as well.
Oh, okay. Well, thank you. That's a very, very kind introduction. I don't feel like I get enough things done. Before we started taping this, I was just talking about Asana, and now I'm using like a management thing, because I have a lot of passion for life and a lot of passion for a number of different topics that I've been lucky enough to kind of meld into my world. So for people who are not familiar with my work, I consider myself primarily a singer-songwriter, although to be a singer-songwriter these days is not a very lucrative career. So as a result, I've ended up doing a lot of different things, mixing in a lot of my activism. So when I was younger, I would listen to 60s and 70s singer-songwriters. And then I also read a lot of different dystopian novels, which, are apparently instruction manuals. So here we are in 1984. And
like Ayn Rand. Are you an Ayn Rand fan too?
I am an Ayn Rand fan, yes.
Love it.
Absolutely.
I always say her name wrong.
Yeah, you know what? When everybody told me it was Ayn, I was like, what do you mean Ayn? It's not spelled that way, but whatever. And so, as time went on, I kind of found my pocket, and I found my fight, because I always knew that I wanted to use music with a message. And when I found out about the Federal Reserve, I was like, these guys got to go. And so I figured out, how could you potentially control the population? And the best way is, of course, to control their money. Mm-hmm. And so I guess a desire to make the world a better place drives me to a certain extent. And I'm lucky that I get to sing about it. I just wish more people would hear
it. Well, I mean, the right people are going to hear it.
I think so. You know what? I get a lot of positive messages sometimes, which I don't know. Like I have a lot of friends that'll say, "Oh, you're very successful," and I look at my bank account. I'm like, really? I don't think so. And I think about music, and music is such a difficult thing. I'm putting out my fourth album, and every album I put it out myself, and every album generates like $1,000. It's a joke. Um, so it's very hard to feel like you have a sense of accomplishment. Especially as a musician. So it's nice when other people seem to be moved. um I think that we need music with meaning now more than ever. I mean, a random friend of mine, she just wrote me, the world needs music so much right now. And it's very frustrating because that channel is being kind of controlled by the music industry cartel that just wants us to listen to, WAP, which is fine if you're in the
Yeah.
club,
Yeah.
but like
Yeah.
my soul is not going to be fulfilled by WAP. So it's frustrating to try and do music when your field doesn't necessarily reward you based on if you're good or not. It's kind of like this warped thing. So
Mm-mm. I feel you on that with chiropractic. People sometimes are like, you just do chiropractic because you just want, you have your own business because you want to make a lot of money. Well, I could make a lot more money doing other things. But it's going against the grain when I'm here. Like both of us go against the grain on so many things and ideas, and but it's something that is pulling to us. I feel that when you talk about your music, it pulls you, and I really believe that you're going to be there at the right time for people who really need it. And the times are changing.
yeah, that's
People
for
are going to
sure.
be looking for music that means things. Definitely.
Yeah,
So,
well, I feel pretty optimistic. I had a psychic reading a few years ago, and they were saying that I was going to be very rich around this time, and it was right when Bitcoin had peaked, and I actually had a lot of Bitcoin then, as opposed to now. um, and and I was thinking to myself, like, oh, these guys are so stupid. They don't know anything. Because it was a couple of them that said the same thing. I was like, they don't know. I'm rich right now. And then the market crashed, and I was like, oh, well, I guess now I know what the taste of poverty is once again. um, so yeah, I mean, hopefully there'll be some changes. I mean, we made with my music, because I was kind of frustrated when I first got involved in the cryptocurrency space. We created Tatiana Coin, which was the world's first artist cryptocurrency. And so since then, we made a platform. So in the back of my mind, I'm thinking that we'll get funding for the platform in the next couple months. And then I'll start being rich and famous because I'll have a very successful platform, and everyone, of course, will be very impressed.
especially with all these people with Bitcoin who are into philanthropy and also into creating and supporting projects. I mean, those, and those people. You're one of the best connectors and one of the best just networkers that I know. I remember when I met you back in, was it 2017 at the Nexus conference in Aspen?
Yeah, that was great in Aspen.
Yeah, yeah. And I remember this chick over here is like gonna sing for us, but then she's interviewing people. You just seem like you knew everyone. Like you're the center of, like you knew everyone knew you, everyone knew your name, and just the way you make people feel heard, listened to, but also important too. Yeah, that's one of your superpowers. You make people feel important.
Oh, well, that's nice. I don't always feel important. I don't feel like very good about things at all. I don't know. I mean, like this year has been so difficult, I think. Um, we were talking a couple weeks ago on Facebook about trauma, and I'd like to get into this on like a longer proof of love. We could even do a climax combo special. I'm down with that too. But
Yeah.
but like this year has kind of forced everybody to deal with trauma. And the problem with trauma is that people say, you have to look at your trauma and you have to work through it. But I don't necessarily feel like I ever work through it. You know what I mean? Like I feel like I spend quite a lot of time trying to work through things and put in a lot of time into personal development. So while it's nice that people like, I guess, perceive that things are going well, I don't always think that they are, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Um, but at the same time, I also feel extremely grateful to be alive. Like these weird kind of like, do you ever feel like you're looking around the world? And I feel I feel kind of amazed that our job is to literally just go around and have fun. You know, I mean, our job is also to like put food on the table. So, stressing out about money is obviously an impediment to going out and having fun. But if you think about it, like we're on this earth and it's just like do what you want. And there's limitations, I guess, because of outside forces, but I don't know, we're all pretty lucky. I don't know. It's like a very like extreme year, don't you think?
Oh, absolutely. This year has definitely made me just appreciate the hell out of everything that I have. And also really appreciate that I am not I mean, I live in a 600 square foot apartment. I sold my house 2 years ago, put all the money that I made off of it into my business because I really believe in the vision of helping people, and also the vision of like people need to heal and need to know these things. And so, and also just like the vision of like that it was gonna like be successful. So when you believe in something, you'll throw it all on the line. But I mean, I love that I'm actually very light. I don't have like a humongous 5,000 square foot house that I am trying to support, lots of like personal overhead. I guess you could say like this has really made me appreciate just the fact that I'm very like I feel like I can move and start new things too, like a podcast and have flexibility in my life. I think that's what this year has really done for me, is made me really realize that, but also really made me question like, do I really want this in my life? I think it's made a lot of people ask, do you really want this thing in your life? And also what's important to you? And I love that actually, I know before we started this conversation, we drew a card from my tarot of sexual magic. Oh my gosh, it's the best. Okay, so these cards here, like this one is actually kind of like PG. The other ones, let's pull, yeah, like two ladies naked. Like this one's actually kind of PG, but this one, I love that you started talking about activism and your music, because we pulled this before we even started talking, and it's the eighth major arcana called Justice.
Okay.
So let's read what that is. Meeting, the sword of power. To obtain love, you must give something in exchange and pay the price for the errors of the past.
Uh-oh.
Oh,
I
damn.
never made any errors in my entire life. I don't know what kind of phony cards those are.
You know what? We just had an eclipse yesterday, and actually, there's an astrologer I follow very closely, and he talks a lot about like old cycles ending and history too. But he said personally in our life that we're ending a lot of old cycles from 2012, specifically from like June of 2012 was the last time we had an eclipse in this area, but the nodes were switched. So, is there any like relationship in 2012 you feel like something is ending? Because it's totally happening in my life, but I'm curious to hear from you if anything's like repeating or a cycle's ending from 2012 that you feel like is happening.
2012 was a really big year for me. It was the year that I really joined the Liberty movement, and I was going around, doing a lot of stuff with Ron Paul and whatnot. But I can't say that my relationship then that I had has any significance now. I mean, that person was 12 years younger than me, and it just wasn't very, very
12 years
significant.
younger?
Yeah, I was an
Oh,
animal.
nice.
I know. It
Wow.
was very scandalous. I was like,
How old is he? I mean, we're kind of aging you, but
yeah, I don't really care. We're gonna do it. So at the time I was 32 and he was 20.
oh wow.
I know,
Okay.
I'm
We have to
gross.
talk about this. Okay,
I
what
don't
was
think
that like?
that's very good.
You were like this woman who was touring around with like political figure, and I mean probably still very spicy and very driven like you are now, right? Musician. How was that dating a 20-year-old?
So I had a relationship when I was around 25. And then since then, I can't really say that I've had a really successful, like official relationship. I've had guys that I'll date that live across the country that we have ongoing, we see each other like a couple times a year, but for the most part, I haven't had any relationships. And this wasn't really a relationship. Yeah, he was just really cute and very, very sweet. You know what I mean? And pretended to be 21, and I thought it was hilarious. I didn't look my age. And
Well, you still don't.
thanks. So yeah, I mean, it was just something that was fun. And I have a hard time though. Like, I don't really like a lot of people, but then when I like them, I get very attached. And that is my nightmare because I don't think that the people that I get attached to are necessarily even like good matches long term.
Ooh. Have you ever heard of the concept of trauma bonding?
I have, but I don't understand it. So maybe you could tell us a little bit about it.
So that reminds me of like trauma bonding. And actually, what's side note before I go into that, in June of 2012 was when I decided to leave my first husband. And now I'm entering into a relationship and been in a relationship with my boyfriend. And this is like very serious.
What, the
This is like,
relationship is serious
yes,
or
the relationship is very serious, and it feels like I'm finally like I've completed all the lessons I've needed to learn since that breakup, since the end of that relationship. And I was with him for 7 years, married for 5, and thought that that was like my life, and I completely upended my life, decided to move to Colorado with whatever I could fit in my car. And I ended that marriage in June of 2012. So it's kind of wild that like this is all coming around now. Anyway, so trauma bonding, in which I think a lot of our early relationships are a lot of trauma bonding where we so our trauma and our need to fix that trauma with our, let's see, say we have trauma with our dad or our mom, and it's
or
so
both?
painful, or both. Right, it's so painful to address that trauma with them directly, and it's probably impossible because they're still doing it, right? And so innately we attract, and I really believe the universe brings these people to us, but we attract people who have certain issues and things and are going to treat us the way that our parents treated us, and that we can work out our trauma and heal through what we like through that person that's not connected with us. We didn't, they're not our parent. We can be talking about them 8 years later and not really have too much emotion about it, right? But yeah, the trauma bonding, or another part of trauma bonding would be, sorry, I'm going to sit here. Another part of trauma bonding would be if like you guys both connect on like you both lost a person, or you both went through a bad breakup or relationship, or you have similar trauma that you connected on, and that creates a deep bond.
Okay. Um, so is that a good thing or a bad thing? I don't know if it is because it's almost a little bit fake.
I think it's a necessary thing, honestly. But it's something to be aware of.
How do you mean it's a necessary thing? Because that sounds like something you shouldn't necessarily be aiming for. Like, because then it's like you're almost making that person responsible for something that happened before.
Ooh, so it's not, it's more of just like innately your subconscious wants to heal that part of you. So when you bond with this person and they're going to bring up your old wounds, and they're going to bring up some old stuff, but it comes to the surface to be healed, just like what we were talking about with this year. So many things have come to the surface. This stuff that we're hearing about in the world and in politics, that has always been happening, but it's coming to the surface right now to be healed. So when I say necessary, that's just I believe your higher self's way of bringing it to the forefront so that it can be healed and so that you can be better for the next person.
I don't know. I feel like I keep going through the same freaking damn problem over and over again, and it's getting a little bit old.
Mm.
I don't
Yeah,
know.
I mean, I feel like I went through that. That's why I started doing trauma therapy actually in 2018, because I had a really bad breakup, bad relationship, and he was pretty verbally abusive at the end. And I'm like, man, why do I keep picking these people? So I started going to trauma therapy, and it's been it's a lot of years, lots of time, but I finally feel like there's another side to that.
Well, so what did they figure out? What's the secret? Got any tips and tricks for those of us still stuck in the past?
Oh gosh. Okay, so one of the secrets of things that I have been learning about the most impactful thing actually is he calls it like I'm going to totally botch how he explains this, but he calls it like a triangle, a triangle or an inverted triangle, right? So in military, he always uses military references. In military, they have like the point person, and then the point person calls the shots for all the other people behind them to make like a triangle when they're going into an unsafe place. And the people behind him give him all the power to make all those decisions because they know that he's looking out for the best interests, right? And they give them all the power, but actually what really happens when they give him all the power, he actually inverts it and is actually doing everything in his power to protect those people behind him, and would sacrifice to protect those people behind him. So it's just like a really beautiful, and I'm sure I just botched how to explain it, but my therapist explains it way better. But it's just a really beautiful example of when you give somebody the power to, I think like in love, giving somebody, you actually do give somebody the power to really, you let them inside and you give them the power to hurt you from the inside out. And I was watching the Taylor Swift special and she was talking about this. I'm totally a fan of Taylor Swift. And, but then they turn it around and they use that power to actually protect you and support you and honor you and celebrate you. And I think that is the type of love. And I really believe that up until this relationship, I've only had one other man in my entire life who's ever treated me that way.
Who was that? Like a previous relationship?
Yeah.
Okay. What happened to that guy? Is he dead?
I only dated him for a couple months, but so glad I'm not with him. He's getting married now and all that stuff. So yeah.
Okay, good. So the new guy is safe. He doesn't have to worry about that guy
No.
coming along and messing you up.
Plus, he's like a raging liberal and hates Trump. So
yeah, that would be
that
a little
would
bit.
not be a good good connection. He was literally very judgy that I have the political views that I do.
Oh, well, that's par for the course. When people, I don't know, I feel like people on the left are not supposed to be judgy, but I feel like they are, and it's very annoying.
Mm-hmm.
But this isn't a political show. We don't care about politics. Actually, it's on my show. You tell me, maybe it is a political show.
If they're affecting relationships, that's the thing that, like, if they're affecting relationships, which is funny because me and my boyfriend have differing political views. Like he totally voted for Biden. I totally voted for Trump. Like it is, and we have had lots of discussions. So I'm here to say right now, like if you want to have, like you can have a differing political view with your significant other and still have a really fabulous relationship.
I find that very hard to believe because I think that if you're politically active and a female and your man doesn't share similar political views, I would have a hard time respecting his intelligence. And I think that intelligence is one of the things that women value. Like I would say, generally speaking, men don't care that much about our political views. They care about our boobs. And women care about men's brains. Therefore, their political views are more important.
Interesting.
Especially if you're educated.
Yeah, you know what it probably is because both of us, political stuff is important, but it's not. Like if somebody didn't agree with my health views, right? He totally values health because that's something that's the most important thing for me. If he didn't agree with what I believe in, like health wise and medical wise, it would not work. So, and I would definitely doubt his intelligence, right? So I think it's because I'm the type of person where I don't have very strong opinions about something that I don't know enough about. Like if I was totally a political activist like you are, absolutely. I totally agree.
Yeah, it kind of ruins it for me.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, come on. But I mean, I think that that makes it difficult for sure. Also, I think like right now there's like a lack of manly men. You know what I mean? Like a lot of guys are like not really in their like male energy. And I find it very frustrating because I don't know, like you need a manly man more now than ever. You know what I mean? And like as a single woman, I don't feel protected. I feel scared. And like nobody's gonna protect me. And I'm like, great, now I have to be a freaking warrior. Like so annoying, you
What do you
know?
think is the reason why we don't have manly men?
Soy and the Marxist cultural appropriation or whatever it is.
Well, I
No,
mean, you're up in New Jersey, New York City, like, woo,
yeah,
you're,
no, it's a hot mess. I honestly I think like there has been a concentrated effort through the feminazis to take away manliness, and I think guys are kind of lost. I think lack of a father in the home isn't particularly good, and we've seen a whole generation of that going on. I think seeing what happens in court is not very appealing for men. I think that, the court system is really particularly brutal for men, even though, I'm a woman, whatever, I want to be on my team. But I know a lot of men that have been really terrorized through that. So I can understand their reticence around commitment. And also, sex is free. Every single chick is giving it out. Like, there's not that many. Overall, I feel like our culture is very instant gratification, and
yeah.
a relationship is not instant gratification. It's gratification once you work for certain things, and like it's fun, and then it's also scary. So I don't think that people want to be hurt. I think that's like a general consensus. But now I don't know, like even look at what's happening with Corona. People are so afraid of Corona. It's like, listen, guys, we're all gonna die. Like, I'm sorry to be the one to tell you that, but we're all gonna die. And I think that this is kind of underlining our own mortality for everybody, and nobody wants to see that happen. So now I'm
Yeah.
kind of like veering into a different topic. It's not necessarily like manliness, but I don't know, like people in general are avoidant.
Well, part of manliness is wanting your legacy to move on, right? That like men are wired to have their seed be spread throughout the world and have their legacy. So if they're faced with the fear of not having that happen, do you think that's part of it?
Um,
Like right now with Corona, at least? I know I'm kind of like,
I don't know. I don't think that I don't know. I don't know where men and women are at right now, because I have to date online and it makes me want to kill myself. And I feel like the quality of people there are not good, but I also feel like I just end up picking people based on qualities that maybe would not disqualify them in real life. Like, for example, I will swipe left on most guys who don't have hair, right? But I've dated a few guys that don't have hair, and I still like want to have sex with them. Like somehow I managed to get over it. So I think that there will be people that maybe I wouldn't necessarily know to swipe right on in that format. And I don't like it at all. And then I also just don't feel like the people there are very serious. Like I think that there's just some people that are there because they want the emotional gratification of
yeah, like
having
the
people like
attention.
them.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like the attention, the conversation. People are bored right now, or just hooking up.
Yeah, I
Let's.
don't want to hook up with anybody. I don't know why. Maybe I need to get back in the saddle and just randomly have sex with randoms, but I don't think it's very rewarding after a certain point. I don't
Yeah.
know. Like, I
Mm.
don't think, do you think that people, I don't know. Like, I used to be interested in casually dating, but I don't even know if that's true. I don't know if I was just taught that by the system, that that's what would make me attractive and like successful female. Like, I think that for a long time, like in my early 20s, I was reading like Fear of Flying, which is like an Erica Jong book, and it references the zipless fuck, right? Which is, you don't even hear the zipper come down. Like it's just like zipless, like, banging it out. And I used to think, oh, that makes me elevated and I'm like an independent woman. And now I'm like, I don't even know if that was ever really that rewarding. Because I
Mm.
remember spending a lot of time crying over stupid a-holes, and I didn't feel that liberated while it was going on.
Well, neurochemically, us women, we do get connected. We release more oxytocin. So when we are intimate, so we do get more connected, like just neurochemically looking at the physiology of it as well. Um, Man, there's a lot to unpack there. Oh gosh.
Well, that's why it's a podcast series. You can delve into
I
these
know,
topics
right? There-
over more than one chat.
So and this is something I did want to talk about, just like being a successful woman and dating and having intimacy with men, like having sex with men while being a successful woman, being in a relationship or even casual sex, however you want to do sex. But it is, I believe that, I mean, the power dynamic is definitely a thing. Um, for me, I mean, I don't know if you felt the same way, but for me, I felt like, I mean, I overpowered most men in my relationships. I also felt like I scared most men when I started dating them too, that they were intimidated because I was a doctor and I ran a practice, and that and I was also very intense. Very deep, very fast. Gosh, I got knocked up with my with my father, with my daughter's father, within like 6 weeks, and we were in a relationship and moved in together within 6 months. So like that, I'm like a hard and fast type of person, right? So I think that I would be like, oh, that intensity scares people. But what's funny is that in this relationship I'm in now, like that intensity did not scare him one bit. And actually when I first met him, I was too afraid that he wasn't manly enough for me. And I think that
Why did you think that?
because he is definitely more emotional. He is more in touch with his emotions. He expresses his emotions. But what's fabulous is that we connect on that wavelength. But he did, like, his masculine energy and his masculine side, I had to create space for him to step into that. And he stepped into it, so like every day he steps into it more. But it's not like I ever wanted to fix him. I just decided that I was going to focus on what I really loved about him. And what's interesting is that the things that I like at the very beginning that I think we went on a vacation right after I met him, and I was like, I don't know. And I've told him all these things. So if he's going to listen to this later. He knows all these things. And like, I was too afraid. I was also too afraid he was too nice too. And what's interesting is that he was exactly what I needed, and exactly like what I've always wanted, and that I could become more feminine because he had a very strong feminine side and still does. But then because when I become more feminine, that's opening up space for him to step more into his masculine. So it's very interesting, like the dynamic. I thought I had to have some strong man that would overpower me, but I would never respect that. And so that's what I'm learning with this relationship for sure.
That's interesting. Yeah. We don't have enough time like getting to know people either. You know what I'm saying? Like maybe you go out with somebody and I don't know. I mean, I've had dates where I think it's going great and then the next date is totally different and vice versa, but if you can just swipe at any time and just replace that person, I don't know. I thought like with Corona that the talent on the dating sites was getting a little bit better, but I don't think so.
Yeah.
I don't
Yeah.
know. I mean, the guys they're not really like with it. I wish that there was a different dating service. I looked into dating services um because I was just like sick and tired of this. I'm like, oh my God, I can't take it anymore because it literally makes me want to die when I'm on those sites. It's really depressing because not only am I thinking about my own sorry life, but like I'm also thinking like, oh my God, this person's so ugly. They're never gonna get with anybody. Jesus Christ, look at this ugly bastard. He's screwed. So like it's just really, really disheartening. So I started like looking at like paid for dating services. But apparently, those are a hot mess too. For example, they are apparently flooded with women, which is depressing. Tons of women, like 10 women to every one man. And they're very expensive. They're like between 5 and 10, maybe $15,000.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And it's supposed to get you, like a high quality guy. I think this is probably a problem. Like a lot of women that are, successful have a hard time being a guy that is okay with their success. Like I always thought that was kind of stupid. I don't know. Like I've heard from people that I'm intimidating to men, but I feel like I'm very friendly and like my bank account shouldn't intimidate them. So like I'm not sure what the problem here is. Uh so yeah, I don't know. Like it's just I don't know where you meet people that are in the right social circle. Like right now, I want to shake things up because I'm like, all right, I got to start dating seriously. Like this is ridiculous. Corona is horrible. I wish I had a boyfriend during Corona. I feel like that would be great. You could just like bang all day and be like, oh, can't go
Oh,
anywhere. Guess we have to stay home and have sex again. Like, oh, well, I mean, that would be good.
or like my neighbors who would get in epic fights all throughout Corona. My neighbors upstairs would like literally get in epic fights the whole time. And then by the end of it, they weren't even together. So you could have that on the other side though.
That's true. There are a lot of miserable people right now. But I mean, like, how do you even go out and meet people? Everybody's wearing a mask. So secretly, like, their eyes could be really, really good. And then down here, like, like a walrus or something. Um, and, uh, and I mean, maybe it could be good because you could like get to know people more through their mask. I mean, I don't know. The whole thing is preposterous. And living in the area that I'm in is just the worst because I am in the area that is all leftists. And like, I'm not going to respect a guy like that. Like if you're a man and you're wearing a mask, you're not the man for me. Like, I'm sorry that you're so afraid.
You need to go to Texas. You need to go to Texas. Just put your location. Go to like I think on Tinder you can go to put like your location in a different place than you live and put your location in Austin. Just start like chatting up guys. Be like, I'm moving there. I just need to meet people and then see what happens.
Yeah, well, I'm applying for a job right now in the city, and I thought about it. Like, I'm very keen on Texas because I think New Jersey and New York are toast. The property taxes are going to go through the roof. Like long term, I think these areas are essentially doomed. And shoot, forgot what I was going to say. Oh, yeah, but I was thinking that like what you said earlier about, oh, you need a man that could dominate you and stuff. Like, I feel like the energy of a New York guy, the ambition of a New York guy is very alluring. You know what I mean? Like, I want a warrior, even though I end up dating mild mannered guys. So I don't
Mm.
know. Like, is like a Texas man going to be too like country bumpkin for me? That's right. I said it out loud. You were all thinking it, but that's what I'm thinking. When you're from New Jersey or from like a normal place like California or, like basically, yeah, only New York and LA, the only normal places allowed in America. You just think of any other state as having people that just sit around like, gnawing on hay and shit. But like, I don't know, maybe I need to go down to Texas and just have a guy that's like less New York because the New York thing, there's a lot of competition for women in New York. And I feel like part of the problem with New York dating is that everybody's looking for the next best thing constantly. So I don't
Mm.
know. I
Yeah,
don't know.
just
I don't
that.
know where my
And
true love is waiting,
they're
but let me
constantly
know.
looking for their climax relationship.
Exactly. Well, they always just want the next climax.
Yeah, right. So I mean, I don't know. What I've learned as well with that is I needed somebody to be able to, that I could just fall apart with because you and I are both so strong. We are warriors.
It's very annoying to be
And
a warrior.
I needed somebody that I could just fall apart with, that I could literally just lose my shit and they would just hold space and understand and also not judge me for because we look so amazing on the outside and I always used to say like men would love the idea of me, but they would hate the reality of me. And um just somebody that I could completely fall apart with. And that has been, I mean, the space that he can hold. I mean, think about it. If a warrior dude he's going to be a warrior. If we're with a warrior dude that's just going to go be a warrior, they may not be able to hold that space for us. But then again, I see him as a warrior in his heart. Like there's a lot of warrior in there. And yeah, yeah. I'm just in love, so I'm
Well, that's a nice feeling. I wish that I could feel that way, but apparently I feel like every single time I try and get close to somebody, it goes apart. Like they really seem like they're madly in love with me, these guys. They look like they won the freaking lottery. And then all of a sudden they just pull back and then I'm just stuck like, but wait, I thought we were gonna get together. And then they're like, nope, sorry. And then they have some kind of like emotional lack of availability. And
Yeah.
it's
Mhm.
impossible to not feel like there's something wrong with you because it's like, well, what should I do? Should I make myself less? Like, how do you even make yourself less? Like, I'm not a less kind of person.
Mm-mm.
I'm very kind of like the way that I am, and that's it. So, I mean, I hope that there's like the right person out there, but it's very frustrating when you think that everything is going really well with somebody and then they're like, I'm afraid I'm gonna get hurt. I'm like, so you'll hurt me? That's
Yeah.
your
Yeah.
plan? Thanks,
Yeah.
dude.
Yeah, well, I had that happen so many times. And my therapist, I would talk to my therapist about this, and he would be like, "Yeah, and it would be, I would call it, I would make a joke. My friends literally would make a joke about it. You've probably heard Deanna talk about this, our mutual friend,
Yeah,
about
tell
how
me.
like it was like the 8 week, like the 6 to 8 week mark, where it would be like amazing for like 6 to 8 weeks, and then all of a sudden it would fall apart.
Yes, and it's like every single time it happens, I'm surprised because I'm like, God damn it, I thought I was being careful.
Yeah, like
And I
how did
don't
I not see that?
no, and the thing is that I'll be like, on, military watch. I'm not letting anybody get through. But then they're so sweet and then they don't seem like psycho and they don't seem to do anything weird. And if I show a slight amount of emotion, they don't seem to run screaming into the night. So then I try it a little bit more. And still it seems okay. I'm like, okay, I guess I'll be even nicer. And that's what it's like. It sucks because the sweeter or the nicer that I get, the more that I feel like I get screwed over. It's like, so you guys just want me to be like a bitch? Like, is that the deal here? Like, am I just supposed to be nasty to you? Like, that apparently is the method.
Have you ever read the book Women Why Men Love Bitches?
Yeah, of course I
Oh my
have.
God, it's the
I have
best
two
book.
of them. Why Men Marry Bitches too. Somebody gave me one of those. I was like, I still haven't learned my lesson.
And that's also like I didn't hold back. I was just totally me with him. Um but with other dudes, yeah, I would be like so sweet and they would be amazing. And I mean, I had this one guy I was like writing poems to. Like I'm
Oh
such a
no.
romantic, and I was like writing like literally after our first date, all this poetry spilled out of me.
Oh my God, you
And
poor
like he
soul.
was like all about it. And then all of a sudden he was not. He completely ghosted. Like completely ghosted. And I was like
Why do people have that capacity within themselves to do something like that? I don't understand the ghost.
I don't
People
think that they
ghosting
do
are
it on
the
purpose.
devil.
No,
I
I don't
hate
think that
them.
they do it on purpose. I really, really believe that people like just do not have the capacity for like, they just can't step up to the plate emotionally. But also, like, that's just a sign that you're not it. Because if you're it, they're going to step up to the plate. I that's just, and my therapist would be like, yeah, you're doing a really good job of weeding people out really quickly instead of making it like a 6 month thing, like
You're like,
instead
you're
of
really
making
just
it.
plowing through these guys there, Tiffany.
And that's, I mean, and that's what it felt like until it it didn't feel like that.
Hmm.
And each time that would happen, the whole 6 day week thing, I would get more confident and I had more self-worth and like who I really was. Like it
Really?
would
I feel
hurt.
terrible about myself. It
It
makes
would
me so
hurt at
depressed. It
first.
takes like about a month and then I'm back in the game. But I'm like worthless during that time.
Mm,
You know what I mean? During the time that like I think I'm picking a better guy every time. I definitely am improving my selection. There's no doubt
good.
about it. But it's still not where it needs to go. And like this last time I was really very hopeful about this guy. And then when it didn't work out, like he tried to kind of keep in touch, and that is the worst. I think like keeping in touch is not good. I like something that's very clear. Like are we in or are we out? I don't want to be in the middle ground. The middle ground makes me psychotic. And I was really proud of how I handled this breakup because usually I'm not very good with breaking up with people. Like I like maybe send a couple too many messages. And in this case, I was like, okay, I'm sad. It was clear. But then a week later, he like hit me up And I thought it was because you wanted to make like get back together or something. And then it was just to tell me that he was sad. And I was like, yeah, dude, that's what a breakup is. And then I just lost it. Like I couldn't, because then I was in that middle ground where I didn't understand where I am. And I think that there's some kind of trigger with that middle ground for me, because even if I really like somebody, if I decide, okay, that's the end of it, as long as there's no back and forth, I will get over it and I'm fine. But when there's that ambiguity, it's almost like a childhood trauma where I'm just trying to fix it. Like, but why won't it fix? It's like a GIF. You know what I mean? And I hate GIFs because they're very depressing to me. Like it's just like the same scene over and over and over and over. And you don't know why, what happened before, and you don't know what happens after, and you're just kind of stuck in that glitch.
We call it
And
the
that I think
relation,
is
the
just,
GIF relationship.
yeah, the GIF relationship. It's just like,
That
ugh.
we should coin that term, the GIF relationship. Well, my one of my psychics that I talk to, she talks about like a reason, a season, or a lifetime. So she talks about soulmates, and even people like can be soulmates for just to come into your life for a reason or to remind you of something. Like that dude that I wrote poetry about, he opened up something in me like with my gift of writing and gift of poetry again that I literally had not opened up to since I was a teenager, because I would write poetry for fun as a teenager. And my mom, sorry, mom, I'm going to call you out right here. My mom would actually make fun of me. And I know she probably didn't mean to, like, she wasn't being mean at all. My mom is fabulous. I love my mother. We have a great relationship. Side note. Okay. But she would like kind of poke at me and make fun of me. And like, it wasn't perfect, right? I wasn't very good because I was a teenager writing stupid rhymes but they weren't stupid. They were real to me. And until this dude came around, he opened up that gift again for me. So maybe like all these relationships, you can write really awesome songs about.
Oh yeah,
Like Taylor
great.
Swift.
Oh, you know what? I am Taylor Swift. I just wrote a song about this girl who really screwed me over. I lost a lot of money because of her, and she badmouthed me to a potential client, and I lost the gig. And I wrote a song called You Can't Fight Crazy, because you can't. What are you gonna do? You're gonna shit talk her, and then like she's gonna be like crazier than you. And so like there's
Yeah,
just
and then
nothing
she
that
can
you
just
can
say, "Oh,
do.
look, she's crazy. Look at what she's doing." Because when you fire back, your defense. Actually, it's funny is Taylor Swift has a song on her album about that too. You are Taylor Swift.
Yeah, so I mean, I do feel like I put a lot of my experiences into songs, and that has been comforting. But after a while, you start to get very annoyed. Like I have a new album coming out, and I'm tentatively titling it Love Songs for Idiots, because it's just love songs for assholes. Like literally, like people that like mean nothing in my life whatsoever. They have no meaning to me anymore. But here I am. I just wrote these big love songs, like they were so important to me. And in reality, like they don't even think about me. So it's annoying when you write songs about people that are not necessarily worth it. It's good because you're like, look at me, I'm so great. I create a song and turn a bad thing into something good. And there's some like um validation and just like, comfort that you get from that experience. But after a while, you're just like, it's not enough. You're just like, ugh, all right, wow, look, here's another song about somebody who I'm like pining over and they like aren't paying attention to me. You know what I mean? Oh, shocker that this is what I'm writing about. Uh, so yeah, I don't know. Love in the time of Corona, not the best.
It's the extremes for sure. Like it's either awful or really, really great. Just like you said, like you would love to have a boyfriend during Corona. They could just have sex all day. And that would be fabulous. So people have been living in the extremes. Things are coming up for sure. Gosh, this next month is going to be wild. I
Why do you say
looked
that? What's happening?
well, there's just some really interesting. So I started diving into astrology when I really actually because of like relationship crap. And actually that guy with the poetry guy, we're going to call him the poetry guy. So after that, I started like listening to like looking into astrology, and I had already kind of been to it a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
And I started diving into it after that just to learn also why I was screwed up, or I thought I was screwed up, but I wasn't. But anyways, just what's happening this next month is there's, first of all, we just had an eclipse with a full moon. And so full moon eclipse, lunar eclipse, we just had it yesterday on the 30th of, we're taping this on the 1st of December, rabbit. And on the 30th of November, we had the full moon eclipse in Gemini. And then we have we have this month of eclipse. So like the 14th of December. And then in the 21st of December, we also have a Saturn and Jupiter conjunction in Aquarius, which is what astrologers are saying. It's bringing in the age of Aquarius. So the age of change, revolution. And then there's and I'm going to totally botch it. Go to the Leo King is actually who I listen to. And he's fabulous in explaining all of this.
But I like his name.
The Leo King. Yeah.
I am a Leo.
Yes, you are. You would love, I mean, he's totally a Leo. He's very in your face about astrology. He's not just one of those, very quiet, happy astrologers. He's very in your face and intense. And I appreciate the intensity. But these things haven't happened since in 800 years. So we're seeing cycles close and things happen that haven't happened in hundreds of years. And actually some historical astrologers believe that a Saturn and Jupiter conjunction was actually the star of David, or the star for Jesus being born.
Wow.
That because it was two planets coming together in exact conjunction, it looked like this huge star in the sky. So, and really relationships are definitely at the forefront right now. We just had Venus opposite Uranus. Venus is the planet,
it sounds like
course,
my dating
love and
life.
relationship. And then when it opposes Uranus, you have quick big changes that can happen and things going upside down in relationships. So
okay, so you think it's going to be good? Yeah, I think that's the hard thing about life in general, right? But when you're single for a very long time, you just have to be you can't even imagine anything changing. And that's not true, because things can change in a heartbeat. But right now, with everything so locked down, it's you can't even imagine, where am I going to meet my true love? On Bumble? I mean, give me a break. I'm going to kill myself on there. Where did you meet your guy, by the way?
Hinge.
A lot of people like Hinge. I don't know. I've never had much luck on there.
It's a little bit more classy in my experience.
The classier of the dating experiences.
It's classy. You can't send pictures in Hinge.
Well, how am I going to get dick pics this way?
So you're not.
I mean, how am I going to have a little bit of eye assault?
I mean, I'm not against screening people, but anyways, so. But yeah, Hinge. And then we went on a date. What's funny is on our first date, it was literally a month after my surgery for my knee, and I was on crutches. And I walked up to our date on crutches. Right. So I wasn't,
that's sexy. It was oh, this babe.
No, he thought that possibly I was handicapped because I didn't send him a picture of my whole body before we had met. And he was he's okay. So he told me literally the other day we were talking about this.
Oh my God.
He was I had to decide right there if I was going to be okay if you were handicapped and just didn't tell me.
And
anyways, I mean, it was a great date. We ended up kissing for 2 hours afterwards. It was great.
Okay, so he won.
Spilling the beans on this show here, man.
I know. Well, you're not giving them the full climax. You're building up to it.
We're talking about the journey to the climax.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So anyways, but yeah, I think Corona's really we're really finding, I hate to use the word tribe, but we're finding our soul family. And we're going to be finding people who really believe, because everything's so polarizing. So yeah, I mean, you need to go someplace where there are people who believe the things that you believe.
Yeah, there's not a lot of that here in New Jersey, but I'm going to try and find my people because, this place is it's a drag, but there's got to be something better out there,
But then again, it's boring if you're with somebody who believes everything you believe. That could be a whole show, but
I don't know, man. With the way that things are right now politically, I'm down with somebody who just agrees with me. I can argue with them about something else.
agreeing on basic things or like very important principles.
Everything.
Yes.
They just have to agree with me on everything that I say. I don't know why you're laughing, Tiffany. Clearly it wouldn't work with us because you're not agreeing with me.
But that's what makes a great conversation. Right? Well, awesome. Anything else we want to talk about before we get off here? It's been about an hour we've been on, and I don't know, any burning things you want to talk about?
No, so far my health is good. Although we have a medical appointment in a few days.
Oh yeah.
No
Yeah,
burning
yeah.
of anything. We have to have you on to Proof of Love to talk about some of the health stuff that we've been doing and like 7 other things. But since we are broadcasting this simultaneously, like we're putting out onto the Climax audience and to Proof of Love, where can people reach you and where can they find you? Because I would recommend that they check out your Springs Integrated Health in
Yeah.
Colorado Springs, because I found it the testing to be really thorough, and I'm on my way to healing. Yay. But where can people listen to the show and connect with you?
Yeah. So I literally just published it. I put it onto like Red Circle. So it's for sure going to be on Apple Podcasts, maybe Spotify, maybe SoundCloud. I'm not sure, but for sure Apple Podcasts. But the Climax with Dr. Tiff is going to be where you can find me. And then, but also if you want to work with me directly.
The Climax with Dr. Tiff, the longest URL ever. Okay. Got it. It's going to be hard for Twitter.
Maybe I'll just the Climax was already taken, so I had to do with Dr. Tiff.
That's fine.
But the W is like, it's W dash, like, like the, what do you call it? It's not the dash, it's W.
Did you get your URL yet?
No, I haven't made a website yet. I know but I have my website for my clinic is springshealth.org. And then on there, you can go in there and just make an appointment for a consultation. So I absolutely do like free discovery calls, consultations to find out where you're at, what you want, what your goals are, and to let you know a little bit about me. If you have any questions, basically you have me for 10 minutes to talk about what you like to talk about. And then we can work with people remotely. We're working with you, although we had some fun with trying to get the test to you, but we
figured that out last minute. So that was good. That was a little bit of a mess, but it's nice to be able to do the remote stuff. So happy to be your guinea pig. I've been very well treated so far. I recommend everybody does. Check out the Climax. We're going to be doing some more episodes together. If you guys listen to this and you liked this episode, Tiffany has been on Proof of Love, but we also did one recently about ED, erectile dysfunction, which is a very wildly popular topic. Who would have known? I brought it up on Facebook. So we'll be talking about more of that.
Yes. And then also, okay, Tatiana, your turn. Where can we find you? Because you are in so many places. So I feel like it's easy to find you if we look in a few different places. Where can we find your music?
Okay.
And then also, where can we find the podcasts?
Okay, so people can go to TatianaMoroz.com and listen to my music there. And then if they want to listen to my political and crypto views, they can go to thetatianashow.com, or they could talk about love and sex and fun at proofoflovecast.com. So podcast, but Lovecast.
Okay, got it. And then where can they find you on Bumble?
I don't know how to find me on there, but they're going to have to keep searching in the New Jersey tri-state area.
Got it. Well, it's been so fun talking to you. Thank you so much for being on here. I hope you guys learned something from our rambling and our diving into our personal lives, and hopefully you can relate to something that we talked about today, and about how life is not just all about the climax. It is about the journey and what we learn along the way so that we can enjoy the climax to the fullest.
Excellent. Thanks, everybody.
Right,
bye.
thanks.
Proof of Love has been brought to you by CryptoMediaHub.com, a boutique marketing and PR agency for Bitcoin and beyond. Do you like cryptocurrency, politics, economics, activism, or art? Then check out The Tatiana Show, where you can learn all about it in a fun and non-intimidating way, as if you're just hanging with friends. Go to TheTatianaShow.com and listen now.
Show me your heart. I know that it's beating. Tell me that you love me too. So I know your heart is true. 'Cause I need some proof of love. 'Cause 'cause I need some proof of love.
Thank you for listening to Proof of Love. Please follow us on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram at Proof of Lovecast. More episodes can be found at proofoflovecast.com. And make sure you leave a review on iTunes and tell your friends. You are listening to Proof of Love with Tatiana Moroz, Dr. Stephanie Murphy, and Lauren Kasovitz. This show may contain adult content, language, and humor and is intended for mature audiences. If that's not you, please stop listening. Nothing you hear on Proof of Love is intended as financial advice, legal advice, therapy, or really anything other than entertainment. Please take everything that you hear with a grain of salt. Oh, and if you're hearing us on an affiliate network, the ideas and views expressed on this show are not necessarily those of the network that you're listening on, or of any of the sponsors or affiliate products that you may hear about on the show.